Adrian? We can get started. You can go ahead, Sonia. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sonia Dan Pat. I am the Acting Director of Teacher Pipeline Programs at Boston Public Schools in the Office of Retention, Cultivation, Diversity Programs under the Division of Equity, Strategy, and Opportunity Gaps. I'm also a program liaison for recruitment, formerly as the Senior Recruitment Manager. I believe we have some questions here. I'll just roll through them. Yes. Okay. One of the first questions are, what is the minimum wage in your company? So that's pretty complex because we have multiple positions, very different and vast at Boston Public Schools. And especially under recruitment and the Office of Human Capital, everything from teachers to programs, liaisons, IT, we have lawyers, we have communications, we have whatever. So the range, there's a range on that. Usually there is a scale, and we'll add some links for that as well per position. Some of the positions are unioned. Especially if it's school-based. So we operate this on central office versus school-based is what we consider. So myself, Baina Oraval, the recruitment manager here, we're all in central office, but there are school-based positions. School-based operates a certain time of the year, and then also the central office are year-round programs that we have. So there is a range and a salary for all of those. And if there's a union attached to it, then there's different rules, etc. Do you have remote positions available? Currently, we are still operating under that remote system. It's not fully remote, and it may be something that we transition out of in the future, so still up in the air. But currently, we are remote 2 days a week in central office, school-based, Boston Teachers Union group. They are full-time. So again, set rules, set schedule, that they have 35 hours a week. And they also, they do not get the remote available to them because of those rules, but they're off for holidays, they're off summers, while the rest of us still work year round. So there's a little differences there. Do you have part-time and full-time positions available? Of course we do. There's different scheduling that there is, again, for these vast appointments that we have. So there's stuff that are kind of coming in where you could, that is based on the school schedule. So that could be more of a part-time compared to central office, or you could just be part-time. So with your FTE, I know that's a kind of complicated answer, but let's say that you are a bus monitor, then you may only be a bus monitor or a cafeteria monitor. Those could be in a space from a certain time to a certain time. So in the morning and afternoon, and it may only equate to like 20 hours, right? That is still considered part-time. But full-time obviously is based at school-based or in central office, which is 40 hours a week, or you'll be salaried with extra events. So it's a little not straightforward answer, but multiple options. And there are some higher level positions also that are part-time. Some social worker positions can be part-time. It's an option to be at multiple schools or have multiple positions. That's the best thing about Boston Public Schools that I enjoy, especially as a transplant, is that you are not confined to your particular role. You can be a teacher and still be involved with recruitment or human resources. You can be operation or an administrative support that's school-based, but get involved with after school care. You can be a family liaison and run additional programs. We also have a lot of stipend work where we do the support. And so we try to keep that in our BPS family and encourage folks to do that as well. So I personally hire recruitment fellows, but most of them are full-time employees as teachers, social workers, etc. right? So there are options all around different part of the year, and you can layer up. Some people can have a salary and it will extend. You can earn thousands of dollars more on top of your salary. Let's say you make 60 grand, you can go up another 20 grand just by taking on additional jobs throughout the year at certain times, if that makes sense. Next question is, what are some key qualifications that your company looks for in their employees? I love this question. Let me do my little work here. Here, Boston Public Schools is so diverse. That's Boston. And we have people from all over the world, and those students are here. It's in these classrooms, I think and Baina can kind of add a link for these, and it'll be in our info session a little bit. So I encourage people to go through that. But for our students, it varies by schools. We have over 100 schools, I think 118, 116, something like that, with programs. And in these schools, it is predominantly Black, then Latinx, and then Asian in those demographics for our students. Representation is so important. It's something that we take very seriously and that we are constantly working on. Dismantling racism, anti-racist principles. We respect language and all these other subcategories, LGBTQIA+, in addition to special education, additional resources. So it is a perk to us that you can bring diversity. Boston Public Schools has 9 official BPS languages, although there are many more, they overlap. But in those spaces, we can also add a link for those languages. But it's a bonus if you have a background from somewhere else, and that you can bring that to our students. It's a bonus if you are born and raised Boston native. We like to see that in the community. It is important for our students to see themselves. I didn't get much of that opportunity like growing up. Most of my teachers were white, minus a few, until when I finally got some representation, it turned on a light bulb. I'm like, oh, I can see this, right? So representation matters greatly, especially for our marginalized groups. The next question is, how quick is the hiring process? The hiring process is something that we're working on. There's a few ways that you can kind of get in, and some tricks that we would like to kind of support in that way. So it depends. If you come in through a pool, we usually have a rolling basis, like a rolling admissions kind of system, where you'll constantly, you apply to a certain pool by a particular group, and they're constantly interviewing and doing placement. So we have subs, we have teachers, we have social workers, librarians, etc. All of them have pools. If you come as a substitute, that is the quickest because they have more of a one-stop shop kind of system. If you are just trying to come in on your own and just handle this process normally, it can be a little without any previous experience of Boston Public Schools, from scratch, brand new, then it can sometimes take a moment in the hiring process. But we like to secure folks in between. And so that's something that we're working on. So let's say you want to become a teacher, I might recommend that you become a sub, that you are hired as a sub first, or even a paraprofessional to get your feet wet. The perks of that are multi-layered. You'll be able to come in and have more control, more flexibility. You can still work your job, take a few days off, be paid at your job for a day that you took off, but be paid by us. Get to the system, get to know the schools, get to know the school leaders. This is a very relationship-based place. Boston is in general, Massachusetts and New England is in general, I'm finding, as a Southerner transplant. But this is a way that you can kind of begin to kind of mitigate some of the length that it can take. But the vetting process is pretty extensive. But I will say, once you are at Boston Public Schools, a lot of people do not leave. Or this is a place that people come and they say, we are also one of the highest paying districts in the United States, as well as the first. So there's some perks for sure. I'll go in for that as well. Is there room for growth? 1000%. This is something that I already talked about briefly. Normally, and where I'm from, especially in Florida and state and the South, it's common that if you are a teacher, then you're a teacher, and that's it. And sometimes people have additional jobs throughout the year. Boston's not like that. Boston Public Schools, again, you can be a teacher, and there are people who have been teachers for 5 years. There have been teachers for 10 years, 15 years, and they're like, I've done my work on the classroom. I want to stay in education. I'm ready to teach teachers. We have spaces for you. And so we always encourage that. There are other things that you can do. There are people who now work in central office who are no longer in the classroom. There are people who are school-based and they do double duty. There are teachers who are part administrative and part teachers. There are people who are liaisons for colleges. As we know, Massachusetts have plenty. There are plenty of things for people to do. And again, remember their stipend work. That can start as soon as your first year. I do recommend getting your feet wet, getting involved, much like any new process. It takes about a year, a full cycle year, for people to kind of get a grasp on really the culture and how to navigate these spaces. But there's so many resources available for folks, and you have to have that mindset and a plan, not to just get a job or just to get money, but what is your plan coming into it? And there are multiple spaces for that. Let's see here. What are the benefits? A lot. Okay, so benefits here, we have City of Boston perks. Okay, so this is city type benefits, which is unique. Where I'm from, that's not necessarily the case. So to have city perks, if you're school-based, then you get additional perks for being a teacher, and the schedule, the routine of classroom. There's like a little give and take here. If you were school-based, if you were a central office and more administrative, not just a central office, but at any of our other locations that are more administrative and not school-based, then it's kind of a different round. But we'll add some links here. Some of the perks that we have here, again, those stipends. Listen, I've never heard of a place where you can increase your salary by thousands of dollars for just additional work. And many of it are things that you're already doing that you can integrate. So that's a perk. You have to be, it gets a little tricky once you're a manager, but you can't be a director level. But everyone else, they're like, hey, we see you have an expertise and a passion for this. Here's some money to bring that and execute it for jobs, and we can also do grants, etc. There's lots of funds and resources, especially as one of the first districts. Also benefits here, we have great healthcare. We have great resources. And one of my favorite perks is higher education. Boston Public Schools is in partnership with most of our major institutions that are not only here in New England or in Massachusetts, as well as like New England or the Quad-State area. So we sometimes we have reduced tuition. Sometimes there are pipeline programs coming in. Also, under my pipeline programs, we have programs that help Black and Brown BIPOC individuals, especially try to get a leg up, because what we know is that our folks do not have this information readily available. We're the last to receive information. And what we think is common sense, it's not. Right? So we work very hard to continue to partner and to get funds and grant to give additional resources on top of City of Boston, on top of the school-based kind of things. And we partner with external partnerships. So the relationships are very vast. If you come here, you will succeed if you get involved and if you come with a plan and trajectory and you're asking for help. So we have regular benefits, City of Boston benefits, and then also tuition. And I believe Boston Public Schools sometimes has like scholarships. For example, we work with Boston University. They specifically have scholarships for Black and Brown individuals to have a decrease in their tuition. And Harvard also gives out scholarships. So we are deep in the pocket with many of them. You'll get that through us, as well as Northeastern, UMass Boston, the list goes on. Do you provide paid employee training and development courses? Yeah, so we have a few offices that help with PD, professional development. So there's internal work that you can do, and that we have. Some is mandatory, and then some is just including those perks. Again, go looking. So back to the salary, we encourage here at Boston Public Schools folks, employees and staff, and then teachers, school-based, et cetera, to come in and get involved to continue to grow. If you get involved with that PD, that professional development, and you continue your education, normally there is a lane. So we have what we call salary lanes. Okay, so you'll sometimes hear, if you have a friend in Boston, say, oh, I'm trying to change my salary lane. You can come in at a base rate as a teacher, as a para, as an extension of all those things, or even as like a central office employee. But over time with that PD, every year, usually your funds go up first. Second, you can do this yourself. So if you have, it's based on credit hours and based on years of experience, you can go up in your salary and you can change salary lanes. And also there are constant contract negotiations to continue to increase, which is why we're one of the highest paid areas in addition to those stipends. So that's why it is common for our teachers to get close to six figures, just saying, as well as our staff members, right? So it is an option for people to be in these areas because they're constantly adding all of that. So those are all a part of the employee training and development course that we have. But yes, it is automatically included for our stuff. What is the English level requirement? That's a little tricky. Let me explain. So it depends on where you are and the type of work that you're getting. This is an English establishment, okay? But we do encourage folks who are bilingual, trilingual, multilingual, in addition to first English learners. That is mostly what we have for our students. We also have community schools and community programs. So again, remember that city of Boston that we're really housed under. I believe Boston Public Schools is one of the biggest is the biggest department under the city of Boston. And then when you think of that, you also think library, public works, fire department, etc. Boston Public Schools is the largest. And so this is a very community-based. Often we partner with the city of Boston and we have someone in the middle. So we have a director of schools, right? And so we have community-based. If you're at a community school, right? And I think there are a few of them. Some of them are dual language. So you will be mostly, so some of the schools, they speak mostly in Spanish or one of those official BPS languages. So Spanish is one of them. I think we have a Haitian Creole one, and the list goes on. But we have quite a few schools that are established that are dual language to help with those transitions. And also they do a lot of community work. And Stephanie, we talked about this. We'll collaborate later on, but to not just for the students, but for parents as well. And they have adult education classes. They help with paperwork and translation. And then let's say if you speak Spanish, we all know that the community is massive. So you might have someone speaking Portuguese. You may have someone speaking a different dialect here. And so some schools like the Umana, for example, have these resources available for parents, because we all know that there are also that adults are coming from different countries and their children are coming here. If you help the children and you help the adults, then there will be more success in the families. And that is a mindset that we try to have, that we continue to grow with it here at Boston Public Schools, if that makes sense. So back to the question is English language requirements. You should have a good foundation of English, be willing to grow, but know that this is a space that welcomes that. So it's perks if you have an accent. It's perks if you speak a language, right? Like, because there are students just like you here. Visa sponsorship. At this time, Boston Public Schools does not offer visa sponsorship. I'm told previously that they may have, but during COVID, that was kind of like suspended in our country in general. And so eventually they may evolve in that. But for now, we do not provide visa sponsorship. I personally come from a space where I did visas in the HR and higher education and in the school systems. I'm pretty deep in about 20 years here. And so I recognize the space and I think it's very valuable. There are people who want to be here and that need assistance in transferring. So we recognize the space and hope that that'll be back up soon. But for now, this year and possibly next year, it's not. What is your dress code? Again, depends on where you are. So if you are administrative, I would say business professional, business casual, business in that range. So you see me a little put together now. And so those are options. But if you're school-based, right, then that might be a little more flexible, but you want to try and think about business casual at the very least. But if you are in a space where you're with more high-level individuals, then you want to elevate yourself, as we try to do even in these jobs. So if I end up in a room with the superintendent, then yes, a blazer comes on, the lipstick comes on, and I look like somebody and I smell like somebody. I suggest everyone follow suit. So that's where we are. What is the salary increase per year? Again, tricky. So remember that language about the salary lanes, and it depends if you're school-based, it depends if you're administrative and your hours, your FTE, all of that is affected. But the main thing that you should realize and recognize, and there'll be some links in here. First off, this is all public information because again, we're work for who? The city of Boston. All that's public on what we make for per our positions, etc. The second is you control your salary. You can come in here at one salary and then literally within a few months, move up, go on. Let's say you complete a program. If you continue to go to school, your salary lane should change, right? And that's stuff that you submit the paperwork, transcripts, etc., in official capacity, and then it will move up. You will get your coins. We're happy to give them. We delight in people being elevated and for people to evolve. We want the best about Boston Public Schools, and we recognize that retention happens when people can grow with us, okay? I encourage my employees to do the same. I try to do the same. It's what we want as folks, which is why we come to Massachusetts in general. What shifts do you have available? Again, it just depends. If you are school-based, then you will see more teacher support, pull-outs. You'll see behavior therapists, social workers, family liaisons, community before school. You'll see during school. You'll see after school. You'll see supports to high levels. You will see those things. If you come to central office, whew, it could be coordinators, it could be fellows, you can have managers and directors and all the like, and you can change all the time. So I myself came here as a senior recruitment manager back in spring, and now I am the acting director of teacher pipeline programs. So changes do happen, things are constantly evolved, but we remember the work, we remember who we work for, and I am here to advocate for my people, Black and Brown, BIPOC, etc., and resources, and I'm willing to help grow and cultivate, and I'm just staying in that space. But more in that capacity, I have more people underneath me, and I'll still be working with recruitment, right? So it all works out, but that is common at Boston Public Schools, okay? So those shifts, typically, it depends on your supervisor. And my office coverage is more important, and then your FTE. So if you're supposed to work 40 hours, you should work at least 40 hours. But we know I'm also in events in the evening, events on the weekends, to strengthen relationships with people, to have additional resources, internal and external. So sometimes that means I just have to be flexible because everyone else on the managerial side, especially tend to be salaried, and salaried, it just depends. But if you are under a union, then more than likely you'll have a straightforward schedule. You show up at a certain time, you do what you need to do. So if you were a teacher, you're going to work whenever that school's open. And all schools are not open at the same time. Some schools start at 7 a.m. Some schools start at 8. Some schools are extended day, okay? So it just depends. There's one school that might start at 9 and end at 4, but there's another one that is done by 2:45 or 2:15. It just depends. On Wednesday, there might be early release, and they may not work summers, but they don't get remote when we do, right? Or they may be off during breaks. They get winter break, spring break, summer break, but we may get a little more vacation and time here. So it just depends. My next question is, what is the typical working environment? Again, it depends on where you are. School-based, it's going to be under that leadership. So one thing that I like to give in the recruitment space, that insight, is that folks, there's a personality, a different personality per school and per leader. Let me explain. So my favorite example for a school that I like to give is the Matahunt. The Matahunt is a community school. Remember, we talked about that earlier. And it is a dual language program. So they teach in Haitian Creole as well as English. Okay. And they also have a community center. They have community resources. They do community events. They start earlier, like 7 something in the morning, and they're usually done by 2 something. So they're not extended day, but they do a lot of work. That school tends to be a little more business casual. There are tons of Black and brown folks there. They do pen pals to Haitian students. They send supplies to Haitian students. That I love that about the school. They have the Toussaint L'Ouverture Academy. And if you know about Toussaint L'Ouverture with the Haitian Revolution, massive works, important for my people, especially in the slave trade work. I won't go into those details, but this school has that academy, okay? This is the Toussaint L'Ouverture, which tells you that they're going to do more advocacy work, more community work, more work for people of color. That is the Toussaint L'Ouverture, and that is the leadership under Mr. Henderson, Walter Henderson. Okay, so it depends on the school and what leader they have placed at that school. Another example is the Winship. The Winship, again, the principal is amazing. That is one of the most diverse schools I've been at. Their schedule is like from 8 something to, I think, 3 something afternoon. They're amazing. The principal himself, he's a white man, but he completely yields his privilege, his time, and his attention to the students. It is one of the, by far, most diverse staffs. I think he told me that there are like 11 different languages that his teachers and students speak, that they accommodate. There are constant books and resources, constant things in their library for these people. It depends. And if you're a central office, it depends the department that you're in, the space that you're in. But if you work for communications or if you work for the superintendent, you're going to be a little bit more business, more elevated, etc. So it just depends where you are. Okay. Some people are on the ground. Some people were parents. It depends. But overall, we try to remember that we work for these kids and that we want the representation and what our goals are. And anti-racism is something that we're trying to really enforce, especially in my department, which I don't play. Is your organization involved in helping the community? Yes, we are. Again, remember I told you those hours. I'm very busy, but I love the work that I'm doing. I'm constantly involved, not only me. So, but multiple people in our offices. We are constantly partnering with other groups and organizations. One of my favorite is the Teachers Lounge. If you don't know them, please get yourself involved, especially if you're a teacher, you are hoping to teach, or you're in this education space, get to know them. They're amazing. So I frequent most of their events. I'll be sitting on their board very soon. But they do a lot of work for BIPOC educators in the retention space. They're trying to destigmatize our people. For some reason, our people struggle to move around and to have other opportunities. And so they make sure that you have those. In the spring, we'll be doing a teacher's prom. This will be the second year that we're doing a teacher's prom, y'all. You don't have to be a teacher. So look like somebody, smell like somebody. After it's during prom season, when the kids are done, y'all, they usually have food and drinks. It's a good time, right? That's just one organization. There's good stuff out there. So yes, we are massively involved with the community. We are constantly trying to work with people. We care about mental health. We care about, especially in my particular space with Black and brown folks, We try to really enforce and work with these changes in the community to get the word out and dismantle racism, the systemic oppression, really sitting in that space. I take it very seriously in every aspect of my life, not just with work. But yes, and that's just me. I am one person of thousands. And what are some challenges your organization has faced, and how have you overcome them? All right, I already told y'all I'm not from here, but what I hear and what I see, racism, that's a big thing that we are trying to overcome. Boston Public Schools is doing great. It really is. But much like this country, we have a history, and some of it we're not very proud of, and we're trying to dismantle. I keep using the same language. We want to make sure that our folks have opportunity. And so when you see more jobs like this or community events, that means that we're proactively trying to change the notion, evolve with time, be more inclusive and support, not just for Black and Brown, but we have these other subcategories. I, as well as other folks, want the LGBTQIA community to have a home and be supported. We want there to be space for special education. There has been a lot of ugliness in this country. And so we're, along with the rest of the country, trying to dismantle a lot of it. Boston Public Schools is the first public school system in the nation. We have the first public school under our purview. And so we tend to work with the Department of Education, the Department, the justice systems, and just deeply integrated into a lot of those to try and give our folks a job and let people do well. But that's why you see a lot from the White House and from representatives coming in to speak with us, because we are the first. Those opportunities come with us. It is very, very, very common, and working with places like MIT and Harvard, et cetera, to try and do this work. We are just one of those partners and just a group that's continue to do this work that's important. But education, we are always trying to be one of the front runners for that. And we have a very extensive history, hundreds of years at this point. So I think that's it for my questions. I hope I did okay and try to give a little energy, but I love this space and I'm happy to do it. Shout out to Baina down here, our recruitment manager, who's been dropping in some links. She'll also share, we'll send an email out for Stephanie and for Renee. And then I'll do some connections. Hopefully we'll catch up and have some meetings. I hopefully to stay involved, especially in my new role, and connect with more people. I don't want to let this go. If anybody has any questions at all, we help with resume, cover letter, interview support. You do not have to be a BPS employee. It is for perspective. Baina and Melody can also help with those as well. I will continue that work. We have recruitment fellows. Also, I want to give a little shameless plug here. We have 2 pools. We have our academic support pool that's relatively new. For school-based support, paraprofessionals, liaisons, you will get a priority pool screening if you go in through that. And often with us, school leaders will come ask us for diverse candidates, and we have screened them. We've given you opportunities. We have events. We partner with Teachers Lounge, Boston Comeback, et cetera, for a lot of our events. I have some coming up, so we'll share all those. Please go to teachboston.org. That's our website for our department. You can also explore. We're doing some updating, but the information is still good. Partnering with the Office of Human Capital, as well as the Division of Equity Strategy and Opportunity Gaps. We also partner with the City of Boston. And then also we have early hiring pool. That's for teachers. If you're thinking about being a teacher, even if you are a teacher somewhere, come into the pool. Again, the priority. We have demo lessons. We literally put you in front of our school leaders. I can tell you what to say. I can tell you what your stuff should look like. I can tell you how to come in here and be successful. I can give you some stipends. I can phone a friend and give you those connections. Y'all better holler at me, okay? Baina, can you drop my email, please, here at sdanpat@bostonpublicschools.org. And then also our recruitment at bostonpublicschools.org. Also our diversity programs. We have teacher pipeline programs. We have lots of scholarships. We have tons of stuff available and resources, especially for our folks. Holler at me, okay? I think that's it. Hope I did okay.
Perfect. No, that was really
All
good.
right,
Very informative. I took a lot of notes. I have my notebook right here, the notes. And I did have I had 2 follow-up questions, or 3, I think. So one of them was when you were talking about the benefits. I wanted to know a little bit more about, because you mentioned like stipends and grants. Like how would you qualify, like, let's say you're working for Boston Public Schools, right? Like what would be the criterion for a specific grant? Because I think at some point you also mentioned tuition. So kind of like how did that all tie in together?
Yeah, so benefits in general. So we have normal, regular benefits that would come for like a city school-based kind of establishment. But the extra perks that you're referring to, those are just partnerships, right? That we're trying to like elevate our folks, and Boston Public Schools just has the name. We have the time and the history and the relationships. And so a lot of people are like always trying to be on our side. And so it's right for the picking. If you are an employee, you're automatically able to get these perks and benefits. We have programs that, offer people to bachelor's programs to finish theirs if they haven't finished their bachelor's. We also have stuff for master's programs and reduced tuition, right? So at the very least, we try to encourage like at least the bachelor's, but master's and doctorate is out there. There's something that I'll be pursuing myself. Let me go ahead while we're here in the space. So you can just apply and we can just reach out to those folks, or you can just ask for those resources. If you are employed, always reach out to your school leaders and let them know what you're doing. Always reach out to your managers. For my folks, I always ask, what's your plan? What's your 90-day plan, your 6-month plan? What do you want to do in a year, right? In 3 years, what is your trajectory? What are your goals? And how can I make you be successful? It's something that I try to be mindful of with my folks. And that's just the culture here at like Boston Public Schools and stuff that we're trying to push. And so automatically, as well as that PD, that professional development, automatically, the aim to races, automatically. So those are things that you just have. So reach out to your school leaders. Also, folks can reach out. So Baina has here in the chat. Please, before we close this, kind of take the links, take all the stuff, follow some social media because we post this stuff there. Lots of connects. At the very least, if you get in contact with my office, I got you. Okay? If you can just get to us, we can send you resources. Baina, Melody, anybody in our office, our division, because especially for our Black and Brown folks, especially if there are languages, we can point you in the right direction, even if somehow your school is busy or, you haven't heard it before. Listen to me now. Get to me and I got you. Okay? I think that's the main thing. What else did you ask for? Was it about
You're using
stipends?
that was so fair. No, yeah, that was the stipends and
okay. It's the same thing automatically. If you're an employee, even subs can get them. You just need to be an employee. Sometimes we do contracted work. I will say that sometimes we do contracted work, but we're always open to proposals and reaching out. It's all about relationships. If, for example, Renee or even Stephanie, like if you guys are doing certain work and then obviously you're in another district and I'm doing particular work and they're similar, I can contract and stipend you to come do work with me and you can still keep your day job. So those are options available. Holler at me. I'm just saying. I got you. Y'all want a job? We got it. Come over here with us. But anyway, sorry, Somerville. Well, maybe not sorry, but even as a recruitment space. So there are lots of options available. Just get in touch with me. We can have a chat together individually, whatever you need. I got you. What else did you ask?
Thank you. My other questions were about, we talked a little bit about the interview process, but I wanted to know, like, how does it go? Like, let's say somebody applies, right? You also mentioned that it could be lengthy if somebody's never worked at Boston Public Schools. So does it go first, like the application is submitted, then how does it get reviewed up until you getting that interview call and like preparing for that? Because a follow-up to that would also be, in your experience, do you do some of the interviews, or like and if you do, then what were some of the things that you look for, like in terms of the interviewee and also like their resume, like something that you find are like ideal for them and would quickly get them through?
Okay, that was a lot That was like
It
seven. It was very meaty. 7 questions in one. I forgot almost immediately. But you're asking about the interview process. Let's start there, right?
Exactly.
All right. So once again, it depends what you're coming in as. So are we thinking for teachers? Or are we thinking, like, let me just give an example for school-based and non-school-based?
Exactly.
Okay. So let's say you want to be, if you want to be a teacher. So I'm going to start with teacher because, that has like probably the most requirements, and then that means that either it'll be more or less than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In general for school based. So some of the requirements that school leaders are automatically going to look for, and this is like from their mouths, and also with the state, that things that we have to know as a recruiter. So if you're going to be a teacher, something that we need to know that what qualifies you first, right? We know we're in education in this country. Okay, it's not always respected. I always try to give a little Southern hospitality here in New England that people are very thirsty for. I always recommend that we kind of go the extra mile on our resumes. We try to go the extra mile. Just details matter. It's enough because there'll be 1,000 people trying to go for that same job. So that little hospitality, thoughtfulness always goes a long way. But within that, a baseline applying for a job, they're going to look for a resume. Cover letters are becoming like kind of obsolete, but especially for our people, Black and brown, I always recommend that we do them. I say that because it is an opportunity for you to say in your own words why you're great, to let them know what they should be looking for and why they should hire you. I let people know it's a mistake for me not to be on your team. Honey, I'm good, okay? And so I always come in and look for those. So as a teacher, cover letters, and in that resume cover letter, when you're applying, they're also going to look for certifications, and they're also going to look for degree credentials. They're going to look for credentials, okay? So, and experience. So X amount of years that you've been working, certified or not, in relevant experience, at least a bachelor's degree to be a teacher, and then your certifications. That can be an emergency license. It could be like permanent, etc. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole, but literally that's what they're looking for. That needs to be on a coherent resume, which we support, and it can help with. And make things aesthetic, be thoughtful in that, have the most important credential, the stuff that they're looking for closer to the top, and then explain your relevant experience. And then come in and give yourself a little razzle dazzle with a little cover letter, and then just prove it. That's what the rest of it is. Put it all on one sheet and then prove it for the rest of the documents. Just give them information. They really shouldn't be looking for anything because there are people who don't make them look. That's why they get them jobs over everybody else, right? And then it's benefit if you have culture or whatever. I always recommend that you go in and do a little research, okay? We recommend that we do a little research. Why is that important? Because for example, I just told you about Toussaint Overture Academy. That's school-based. Let's say that there are some people in this world that do not prioritize our people, our melanin, etc. And they come and just apply to these schools, unfortunately, and they're just trying to get a job because we pay a lot. But I was like, y'all do know that this is a place that dismantles slavery, right? Don't come to this school if you do not care about this. You get what I'm saying? Do your research. Do your research, y'all. Do your research, okay? That's why that's important, because you're at a school that's going to fight for that. If you are not doing that, you don't need to be there. Do yourself a favor. Do the kids a favor. It'll be a disservice to us all and these babies who we work for. So that's just an example of how you do your research. How can you do your research? Look them up. Google. You do it for your ex-boyfriend. You do it for your friend, right? I'm just telling the truth. Do some research. We do a little stalking. So go in. Where did the people work? Where did you get your interviews? This is all stuff I tell people 101. This is why I'm good, because I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? All right? So make sure that you come in and do the work you know you ought to do. Look them up on LinkedIn. What do you have in common with these people? When you come in, be prepared. Have questions. Our people don't know to have questions. Ask them. Don't come in unsure. Tell them your worth. Tell them why you're good. Go in and see what their mission is. Does your personal mission align with the schools? Most schools have a website. Google them. And most are on social media now. Also follow us. Also social media, teachboston.org on all of the platforms. But this is all stuff you should be doing. You want to work with me? Do your research. Know about me. Know that I've been here for a long time. Know that I've come from higher education. Know that I'm a doula on the side. Know that I care for Black and brown people. Speak my language. If you do, you're more likely to have my attention for more than 30 seconds. You get what I'm saying? Help us help you. So that's how you can be successful. That's school-based. Now take that and apply that to central office. Same thing, but you don't necessarily need like a bachelor's degree. It just depends on what you want to do. But experience, again, have a coherent document, put all that stuff at the top. I won't go back through it, okay? But same thing, but they're going to look at your accolades. They're going to look at your certificates. They're going to look at your experience. I am always looking for diversity. I want people who are not like me. Both of my recruitment managers that I hired, they both speak official BPS languages. Melody speaks, I think, 2 or 3. Baina speaks 1, okay? Both of them are multilingual. I don't speak other languages, but I know that I respect that space and I'll enforce it. So I was looking for folks, locals, who either went here to the schools, who went to college here, who could do the work and reinforce that with our kids so I can come and support that. So really, if you have differences, that's stuff that should be celebrated in this country, especially at Boston Public Schools. So, did that help?
Yes, a lot.
I'll be on it, y'all. What else you want? Tell me. Come on. Questions.
No, that was
What you
really
got?
good. And I know that Leopold asked here a little while back about evening jobs, but you responded to that and you answered that basically saying it really depends. Like once we go into the website, we can take a look at that and find a position that would fit in terms of that scheduling. But no, in terms of those kinds of questions, that was my main focus. It's interesting because we do very similar work, and like you mentioned, contractors, like we can each share with each other, and that is really helpful because like you said, the research is the most important component, and especially because Boston Public Schools has a lot of positions. That's something that we focus a lot with our participants as well. And I really enjoyed that you said just like this energy and confidence is really important.
Very important.
That's something that we also work on with our participants. And definitely everybody's at their own level. So meeting people where they're at and then helping them grow.
Right.
So then when we send them over to you, they're like, we're ready to do this,
Which is why we literally help with resumes and cover letters. I just want to point out that's not normal. It's not normal for a massive institution that is like hundreds of years old, that has multi-million-dollar institution, okay, that will come in and give resources and have stuff to say, come get a job with us and we'll tell you how to do it. So we have a standard, but we'll help you get there. We want you to evolve and grow. And then once you get here with us, what else can you do? What else can you bring? What's your life? How can you contribute, right? In these areas. And so I'm always hoping, tell your friends, tell your family, tell folks, if you can get them to us, we'll help. We'll help. Also students, we also have students in the classroom too. So we have teacher cadet program, Boston Public Schools though. But if you're one of our students, we do have a teacher cadet program. If you're interested in education, again, education is technology. Education is classroom. It's not just being a teacher. I started out trying to be a teacher. I've been in education for 20 years. I've done after school care, school support, doula, prenatal, postpartum. I've done tenured professors. I've done HR. I've done admissions, transfer evaluations, graduate admissions, you name it. I could go down the list. From the time you are thought about being conceived to the time that you die in education. I've done it, including visas. So when I tell you that education is massive, learning and power and growing is massive, it does not mean just being a teacher. I do not teach per se, but I can teach you how to do your resume, not in the classroom, but I teach you how to do your resume. I can teach you how to elevate yourself. I can teach you how to get some representation. I can teach you and train you and tell you and advocate where to go and give you resources, especially for my people. Okay. So, it's a lot to do for everybody. Education, technology, all of that. Baina she was a social worker before this. Okay. So there's something for everybody to kind of come into these spaces. Melody was in the English language learner space. Okay. And doing translation and helping families and communities. We have partnerships with churches and schools and all kinds of stuff, not just what you think. So I really invite everyone to expand their thinking and their mind and these resources. There's a lot out here. And here at Boston Public Schools, we're going to tap into it, especially us in our office, in our division. Okay. That's all you got? Anything else?
Yeah, no, that was for me. So I'm going to open
Oh,
the
okay.
floor up to you.
What you
I'm
got,
gonna open up
Renee?
the floor to everybody else to give a chance. If anybody else has
Leopold?
questions. Yep.
I'm so glad this is recorded. I'm so glad this is recorded because I'm one of those. That's why I pulled myself like off the screen because I'm like, but I'm hearing it and then I'm putting it down because I've got to answer a phone call. I am so glad this is recorded. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna be able to just listen to the whole thing. I've already got a list of people that I'm like, oh, I need to connect her with this and that.
Please.
Oh.
I'm always happy to schedule a meeting. I'm always happy to talk. I always want to collaborate. I love.
Yes.
Listen, y'all doing this work. Like, I want to be in those spaces and I'm happy to pull you in. This is how we grow. This is how we help our people. This is how we evolve. This is how we become successful. Like, to me, literally, when I hire, I was like, it would be such a kiss and a thoughtful nod if I could get a social worker to come help and train our people. I think like that, right? Baina, shout out to her. Baina, come back. Hello, come here. Where's she at? Hello?
Hi,
There she
everyone.
goes. Renee, this is Baina.
Hey.
All right, so there you go. So she'll be helping with all of this too, and then we'll tie you guys with Melody as well.
Can you guys shoot all of those links over to me in an email?
Everything. Yes,
Yeah.
we will. We'll copy all of this and then we'll start connecting or whatever. Please, let's set a meeting. But the spaces that we are in, like, we're doing similar or same work. We are stronger together, y'all. Right? And it don't matter if you're in Boston Public Schools or not, but we have events. Like, I just want to also say we have this sharpen your skills. I don't even have my, Diana, do you remember where my flyer is or no? For sharpen your skills.
January 23rd.
It's January 23rd. It's in person. If I don't have the flyer, I'll get the first couple rollout of events. Let me just tell, thank you. We just have like you'll add to the event. Okay. I want y'all to come.
Yes.
It is this, most of them are virtual. This one and another one is in person. So we have one partnered with the group called the Teachers Lounge. Have y'all, I know I talked about them, but have y'all actually on your own heard of them?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Dope space. My people, okay? Day one for me. Day one folks here in education space for me. Okay, I'll go into that in a minute. But so this event is called Sharpen Your Skills. It is specifically for us, okay, internal, external, to be able to elevate. Okay. We will have a social networking hour for the first hour. We'll have food. You can have drinks and stuff if you want. This is going to be at our bowling building. Okay. And then from there, we'll do a little speech. We'll talk about some of the stuff that we talked about here in this space. And then we'll have breakout spaces. Okay. So we'll also have headshots. Okay. So even y'all look like somebody, smell like somebody, come, like, go get your picture taken. Okay. And you can keep it from yourself. You do not have to be a BPS employee. Okay. And then we'll tell you about the rest of the events. This is just the first major event that we're having. Okay. It's the first one that we're doing, but I realize that our people don't have the information. Some of the stuff that we have here, we'll say it in person. I'll connect you to the Teachers Lounge. Come eat. Come get your picture. You'll say where you are. I'll plug y'all in. I got you. And then from there, we'll have those breakout sessions. We'll do network, like branding, social networking. We'll have like the stuff that you should hear, red flags, green flags, right? Like, what's good? What's like, don't do that, right? You'll be surprised. Some of our people are showing up in these spaces and they don't know that you got to elevate yourself or like to dress up. Like, they'll have stuff on the wall during even Zoom. They'll have
Yes.
crazy stuff on the wall. They won't have they'll be distracted. Or I've seen people even with bonnets on, like in meetings, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm fine. I'm comfortable in this space because I love us. But I know that if this had been anybody else, you would have been dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
And we already have enough stacked against us as people of color. Then you add you add sex in there, you add if you whatever, right? You a man or woman or LGBT or whatever community, there are things that we have that people will have these biases against us. There's enough. And so I always try to think what can I do to slowly remove that? Like, how can I get ahead? Think about if you're playing video games, Mario Kart, okay, shout out old school. Okay, Mario Kart or Super Mario World. Remember when you're running in the field and you get a little mushroom, you go, right?
Yeah.
You hit a little mushroom and you get you get an extra energy, speed, whatever. That's what these things are. What I'm telling you, that's going to give you an extra 10 seconds. That's going to give you an extra, that's going to get you an interview. That's going to get you ahead of these other people. Trust me, I'm good. Most of the people who do what I say, they all got jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you do what I tell you, I can get you a job and I can elevate you and help you go on the path. And I have people who help with project management, people in this command. I got you, especially for my own people who are doing this work. I got you. Say less, okay? We'll connect, but sharpen your skills. January 23rd, I think it's from 5 to 8:30 or something like that. Anyway, we'll send some flyers. We already have flyers for all of those. We'll add you to the invite, the works, and then we also have a diversity programs. That's what we're for the teachers. So do what I told you to do your homework, and then if you're trying to get a job, school-based, here are the people, and they will tell you themselves, red flag, green flags. There are 4 other external partners that are doing it with us. It's our 9th annual one. That one is also in person. Again, food, there'll be drinks, and there'll also be a structure and an order. And then from there, remember I told you we got teacher prom coming up this year. We have more events for us. We have people who want to be teachers. We have people who have training and fellowship. We have people with students. There's tons of stuff that we have going on here. And I need to get the word out. Help me.
We will definitely.
We will
do that.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. And I keep saying, I love my job. I love my job.
I really, this is the first time in my career that there's space held to be able to do this work.
Yes.
This is the first time, almost 20 years, y'all. And this is the first time I've been able to see this work in this space. And so 1000%, we are better together. That's why I'm you doing this, I'm doing this, let's meet together. And then I see you, right? Because I don't know people like that here, but I'm gonna do it. I done done it at a hot dog stand. That's what I told him when I got this job. I was I was gonna do it anyway, so just whatever.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so
All
much.
right, you're welcome. Leopold, you came in and then left. I'm so sorry. Leopold, do you have a question?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you for coming in, Ellen, a lot.
I'm so glad. Come to our event, Leopold. Get in our pools, get a job, be our friends. Come on, Leopold. Just shoot us an email. We'll get you.
You said?
January 23rd is that event, but anything that you need, literally, if you can just talk to me for 30 minutes, not just me, Baina Melody, if you even just say, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I care about, we can pivot, okay? But I'm happy to have meetings, and I do tend to give a little more flexibility in the evenings for folks. There's more hours, but our people need it. This is the time and the season for it. So sometimes if you have a day job and you get off work, you're all right, let me sit down and I can give you some time. And that's for y'all as well, whatever you need. Also, I am in the space. I recognize that the people who are doing the work normally are the ones who are not taken care of. So please, Renee, Stephanie, holler at me, let me talk to you, and then we can kind of talk through and make sure yourself. So you can help other people be our best versions of ourselves, but you know what I mean? I always hope for that. I'm doing all this work. Y'all make sure, let me get a scholarship too, please. Let me get a raise. Okay, let me hire my people. I'll talk to you, okay?
Self-care is very important.
All right, y'all.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording in a little bit. But if anybody else has any questions or anything like that, or anything else to add, otherwise I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Great.
Give me a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Awesome. Let's go ahead. Stop sharing.